What's up, everybody? You're listening to the Hustle and Flowchart podcast with your boys, Matt Wolf and Joe Fear.
So we had an episode months back with Matt Diggity, and he does a ton of affiliate marketing. And we also had another show or podcast with Empire Flipper.
Greg Elfrink.
And they were kind of, they know each other, the two guys, and they're both talking about how there's just crazy multiples right now for both affiliate sites and media sites. Basically, these sites that have some ongoing, revenue coming through, they have attention, and it's kind of built as this media site. And we'll explain this more in a bit. But Matt Diggity mentioned, hey, right now it's crazy with the multiples, and it could just be the environment we're in with the business model, and all probably tons of factors. But he's seeing about 40x multiples, 40 times revenue of those types of websites. So you're able to basically get your revenue up to a certain mark. And then obviously this is very simplified and we have not gone through this process with them. So there's probably a lot of details, but the whole thing was, oh, wow, you don't really have to be generating a lot of revenue through this kind of website if it's positioned correctly and, sold to probably the right buyer and all these other things. But the point being is there's some crazy high multiples right now. So if you have a website that's doing this and you are looking to sell or leverage some of this timing, then some of these questions we got in the group were like, all right, well, how do we do that? Because we talked about in that episode, we said like, oh my God. So that means like, get your website up to what, $500 a month? Is that what we're shooting for?
I think we did the math, and if you get a website to making $500 a month, theoretically, based on the multiples that these guys talked about, you should be able to get somewhere in the range of $15,000 to $20,000 for that site that's making $500 a month. And so, in one of our post-interview outros, we did make a comment about like, man, if you can't get a website up to $500 a month, maybe you should be looking into different businesses. Which that was sort of an arrogant statement in retrospect, because
snarky, Matt.
Obviously, like, we've been doing this for 13 years and we have the benefit of experience. So I kind of feel like an asshole for making that comment in the first place. But somebody did go onto our Facebook group and say, well, you made that comment. Can you maybe map out how you would get a website to $500? And we thought that was a good idea. So in the context of what Gregory and what Matt Diggity were talking about on those episodes, they were talking about getting an affiliate site up to $500 a month. So we wanted to specifically start with talking about what we would do if we were trying to get an affiliate site up to speed. And there's kind of a few ways to approach it, right? You can invest time and you can invest money. You can, if you want to do it right, you're probably going to be spending a little bit of both. But the way I would probably do it is I would pick a niche that I want to create content in. Just for a random example, let's just talk about the health niche. We want to talk about something other than marketing, and there's plenty of affiliate offers in the health niche as well. So let's say you create a blog in the health niche. I would start by hiring some really good content writers over on ProBlogger, and you are probably going to lose money in your first few months because you're going to need to invest to create this thing. But if these numbers are true that these guys are talking about, I mean, you're going to get some pretty damn good returns at the end of the thing.
So at ProBlogger, really fast, how much do you look to spend for a writer over there?
Yeah, so it's actually jobs.problogger.com, I believe. They actually have a jobs board there, and that's probably the best place we've found writers. And the prices change, so I'm not exactly sure.
Well, I don't care about that. I mean, we can figure that out, but like if we're looking to hire a writer, what's a budget that you would say is good to shoot for when you're hiring someone?
It depends. So it's such a subjective question, because like you can there's a few ways that we go about doing content on blog posts, right? We can go and hire like really budget writers and pay them 10 cents a word, get 1,000 word article written for $100, right? Is the math right on that? I think so. So for $100, 1,000 word article, if you're paying like 10 cents. Now that's going to be kind of a lower quality article where you're probably going to have to go in, spend some of your own time polishing that up and really getting it dialed in. So you can go that route. We've gone that route before, where it's essentially somebody is writing the rough draft for you. You're coming back through and polishing up that rough draft. So there's that path, which is a little bit more time, a little bit less investment. Obviously, the least amount of investment is writing it, or financial investment is writing it yourself, right? But we like to get the process started. So in the past, we've gotten somebody to write a rough draft. We'll come in and polish it up, right? That you could probably get a 1,000-word article for $100 or so. If you want to get somebody that's like really, really legit, you're looking probably more in that 25 cents to 50 cents a word range to get like a really high quality writer where you're not going to have to follow him and clean it all up. And then there's also considerations about the length of the post and stuff like that. We were talking to Bruce Clay, which this episode I don't believe has come out yet, but Bruce was actually saying, there's all these articles out there saying that the ideal length for a blog post is 1,700 words and all that kind of stuff. He's like, if you Google almost like any keyword, most of the articles on the front page aren't even close to 1,700 words.
Yeah,
so
there's all these other factors that
there's all these
really
other factors. You want basically the best response for the query that they searched for, right? You want the most relevant response for whatever query they searched for. So the length of the content is less important than being highly relevant and providing the solution to the problem they're trying to solve by having that search. So I would probably start by doing a few articles a week on this site to sort of prime the pump with content. I would make sure I have some way for people to opt into an email list, right? Use like a convert box slide in, embed some opt-ins throughout your post, have an exit intent pop up, do some of those kind of best practices to collect emails from people visiting the site. Obviously sprinkle in your affiliate links for different offers within the content that you're writing. And then I would go and prime the pump using PPC. I would go and buy Google search ads to start driving traffic into this. Now, that's not a necessary step. You could wait a lot longer and just hopefully it ranks over time within 7 months to a year. Maybe you're ranking and that's when it generates the revenue. So there is that sort of patience play that you could do as well. Or you could go start priming the pump with PPC ads. And I think a lot of people will start thinking, well, man, PPC ads, that sounds like really, really expensive. But the thing is, it depends on the intent of the keyword. So, for example, if a buyer intent keyword is going to cost you more in PPC than a sort of information intent keyword. So going back to the health blog example, let's say that we wanted to sell some like health vitamins and supplements or something like that, right? If we were to target the keyword best multivitamin, that's a buyer intent keyword. Somebody who's searching that keyword is looking to buy a supplement, right?
A bit more pricey.
Exactly. You're going to pay a little bit more for those keywords. If you're doing like, this supplement versus this supplement, that's a buyer intent keyword. People are looking to buy one of those two supplements and they're looking for the comparison, right? Now, an informational blog post would be something like, what does vitamin C do for my body? How many push-ups should I be doing a day? Right? That's stuff where they're just looking for information. They're not necessarily looking to buy something right this moment. The information intent keywords are way cheaper per click, right? It varies from niche to niche to niche, but like in the marketing space, for instance, if we're buying like information intent keywords, we can usually get them for 18 to 25 cents a click, right? If we're doing buyer intent keywords, we're usually looking more in the like $2 to $3 a click range. So there's a huge range, but if you're driving PPC traffic into your information that doesn't look like you're trying to sell anything, but there's some affiliate links embedded and you're collecting these people on an email list, that's how I would prime that pump to start getting people there. And then once they're on the email list, then you can start talking about some of the benefits of the supplements and start doing some comparisons to some of the supplements and do some of that buyer intent content, but through email instead of on the content itself. So that's sort of the overarching roadmap that I would follow if I was starting something new, trying to get it up to $500 a month to then flip it. It wouldn't be a super fast flip. You'd have to put some time and energy into actually getting it ranking and getting the sales volume consistent, because you can't just have one $500 month and then be like, look, it makes $500 a month. No, you need a good set of like 6 to 12 months of history of it generating $500 a month.